He covers the Duke Blue Devils for the Duke Chronicle. Daniel, thanks for joining us.
Lee, thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem, man. You ready for this game today?
Absolutely. I mean, something that Duke students have been looking forward to now all week. Anticipation on campus is running really high, and it's really just incredible to watch what this team has been able to do, a team that was picked to finish last in this division at the beginning of the year, now playing Florida State in the ACC championship game tonight.
Back-to-back for the first time in 101 seasons, they'll be in a bowl game. What does that mean for Duke?
I mean, it's huge for Duke. You talk about, the way that the athletic department has reinvested itself in this football program since 2008, 2009, when Kevin White took the athletic director position here. This is what they envision seeing. They envision seeing a perennial bowl team at Duke University, and David Cutcliffe really has just brought that vision to life, and it's really his leadership that's got them there.
What does it mean to the quarterbacks? They have a dual quarterback system there. What does it mean to have a coach in David Cutcliffe who once coached Peyton Manning and to have that name Manning associated with him?
Oh, I mean, it's huge. That's one of Coach Cut's biggest recruiting tools, the fact that he has the endorsements of not only Peyton and Eli, but the entire Manning family. I mean, the Cutcliffes and the Mannings are essentially one family. They come to Durham every year to work out. They stay at Coach Cutcliffe's house even. And having that is just so huge to know that Cliff has mentored two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So for any high school prospect who's looking at this Duke program, it's a huge draw.
Coach Cutcliffe won the Walter Camp Award yesterday. It's the Coach of the Year award for those who don't know. How important is that award to the continued success of this Duke football program?
Yeah, it's just like everything else that comes with a winning program. It's, gaining more notoriety on the national stage, and David Cutcliffe couldn't be a better face for this football program. So seeing someone who's winning National Coach of the Year now and has won ACC Coach of the Year in back-to-back seasons definitely helps with the vision that this program's got going forward.
Last year I made the joke that if Duke played Florida State last year in the ACC championship game, I would sell my ticket, probably give them away for free. You fast forward to this year, I mean, I have to think that laughing stock is no longer there, and Duke is now continued probably a perennial powerhouse, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say so. They've definitely set themselves up really well for the future. This is a team that's got a core of a lot of really young players. Actually has one of the lowest amounts of scholarship seniors on its roster of any team in the FBS. So, I mean, I think when you look down the road, this team's only got room to grow. They definitely had the benefits of not having to play Florida State or Clemson in the regular season this year in the ACC. But I think that this Duke football program really continues to see itself rising in years to come. That's one of the biggest things. Covering this team, every week you would go in and they would be expecting to win the football game, regardless of who they were playing, regardless of who said they weren't going to have a chance in that game. They had the confidence and the belief in their system to go out and win games every week. And they're approaching tonight's matchup the exact same way.
You mentioned the room to grow. Both quarterbacks, Anthony Boone and Brandon Kennett, are both juniors. They most likely will both be back next year. I don't see either one of them entering the NFL draft this year. If that's the case and they do come back, both of them, will Cutcliffe run that two-quarterback system again next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's going to continue to do what's worked for him, and he has a lot of belief in both of these quarterbacks to come in and play and win games for them. I think you've seen the biggest growth this year in the two-quarterback system just because when Anthony Boone broke his collarbone the second week of the year, Brandon had to come in, and he had to be a full-time quarterback, really for the first time in his collegiate career. Last year, you saw Brandon in this phantom role is what they called it. He would play running back. He would play tight end. He would play fullback. He would be the bulldozer, the short yardage quarterback for goal line packages. And his athleticism and his running ability is just off the charts. But having him come in and play as a full-time quarterback was one of the most valuable experiences of his career earlier this season. So now they've just been able to expand the playbook for both of them and really confuse defenses with the way they use these two quarterbacks. And also keep in mind that Brandon was expected to be in that phantom role this year, but got elevated to the number 2 spot on the depth chart because they had a redshirt freshman named Thomas Sirk who actually ruptured his Achilles tendon the day before the spring game. So he'll be back next year and should also factor in the quarterback situation. So you could have a 3-quarterback system for Duke football next year, and I think that's something that Coach Cutcliffe and the coaching staff is actually working with right now, envisioning.
We're talking with Daniel Carp, who covers the Duke Blue Devils for the Duke Chronicle.
Duke plays a very aggressive style defense. They have 16 interceptions in the year. What do they have to do to slow down the high-powered offense of Florida State?
I mean, one of the biggest difficulties about Florida State's offense is that if you blitz them, you leave so many different holes open for all those different weapons on the outside. You're talking about the wide receivers, the tight ends, and the running backs all have big play potential anytime the ball is snapped. So what's going to be difficult for Duke is just getting a pass rush with its front four and being able to have the coverage support over to the top to keep Jameis Winston from beating them with that big play. So it's really going to be on Duke's experienced defensive line. They've got a fourth-year, fifth-year guys and a sixth-year guy starting on the defensive front. So really look for Kenny Ananiki, Justin Fox, Sidney Sarmiento, and Jamal Bruce. They're going to have to get a push against a really, really good Florida State offensive line in order to cause some problems.
You mentioned earlier how this is a relatively young team, and when young teams get together, it usually tends to make mistakes. Now, you fast forward to today's game, they're playing the number one Florida State Seminoles. How important is that number one in front of the Florida State Seminoles to Coach Cutcliffe and his game planning for today?
I don't think it's that important at all. Duke's going to game plan the same way regardless who they're playing. They're going to go out and they're going to play their style of football and try to win a game. So, although playing the number one team in the country is a daunting task, and they understand that across the country, really nobody is giving them a chance in this game, and they're completely comfortable with that. Because if you look back at this season in the past 2 years, no one really gave them a chance to make a bowl game last year. Nobody gave them a chance to win the Coastal Division title this year, and they were still able to go out and accomplish that. So I think that experience and being able to see how far the program has come even in the last 5 years for some of these fifth-year seniors has really kept them grounded and kept them humble. So I don't think they're worrying too much about the fact that Florida State's number one. I think they're worrying about winning an ACC title tonight.
There was a big press conference held on Thursday at 2 o'clock to announce the outcome of an investigation. How important was that outcome to everything going on in Durham as far as, I know the game planning is going to change, but if Winston's not in this game tomorrow, he is, but if he isn't, how much would that change their outcome and their game planning?
Well, Winston's going to play tonight because, he wasn't charged on Thursday. So I don't think it changed the outcome of the game planning too much. I think they were always game planning for him because how can you not? He's, probably going to be one of the top Heisman candidates this year and is one of the best players in the country. It was pretty clear to see when they called that press conference that they weren't going to call the press conference to announce that they were charging him. So I think it was more to explain the situation. And once that all happened, I'm pretty sure the Duke coaching staff knew what to expect at that point. But it's been downplayed on both sides. I think people are really just worrying about playing the football game tonight in Charlotte.
Who's somebody on the Duke roster that might be unknown to a lot of the fans that might make a big impact tonight for the Duke Blue Devils?
Well, I would say you look at he's been really big for Duke in these last 4 weeks, especially. They call him Mr. November now. There's a guy named Devon Edwards who plays safety for Duke and also returns kicks. He's pretty much single-handedly won a game against NC State back on November 2nd. He returned a kickoff for a touchdown and then returned 2 interceptions for a touchdown in the fourth quarter on back-to-back plays. He actually outscored Duke's offense and NC State as a team by himself in that game. He's a guy that just very opportunistic, a lot of big play potential. He had actually the game-clinching interception last week against North Carolina to give Duke the division title. He actually also returned a kickoff for a touchdown in that game. So he's a guy, when you talk about someone who can break a game open and really impact the game on defense and special teams, Devon Edwards is your guy.
If Coach David Cutcliffe could go back and rewrite history, which loss this year, whether it's Georgia Tech or Pitt, do you think he'd want to have back?
I think he would definitely want to have back the Pittsburgh loss. Georgia Tech's a team that Duke has always struggled with. They struggle to defend that triple option system because it's so unique and it's one of the more difficult schemes when effectively run to stop in the country. But that Pittsburgh game, you talk about Brandon Connect coming in and throwing 4 interceptions, including that pick 6 in the fourth quarter that really put the game out of reach. That was the game that I think learned the most about itself this season. They haven't lost since, and the reason is because from that experience, they were able to understand that they were still a really good football team to find themselves in a 58-55 game despite all the mistakes they were making throughout. So I think it would be pretty safe to say that if Coach Cut were to have one game back, it would be the Pitt game, but I think they're so much better for it, having lost that game 8 weeks down the road now.
Last thing before we let you get out of here, we ask all our guests this for a last call. It's basically a shout-out to something in sports. It doesn't have to be sports, but we prefer it to be. What would be your last call?
Well, I mean, I think sticking with the theme of the day, my last call would have to be a shout-out to the Duke football program. You look at how far that they've come, from a team that David Cutcliffe took over that had won 8 games in its previous 8 years to a 10-win football team, nationally ranked, and participating in the program's first ACC championship game. They're the first representative of any of the Triangle schools in the ACC championship game. And that's something I think that they deserve to be very proud of. It's been a really special season for them getting to watch this magical ride. And I think they know that that win or lose tonight, that's not necessarily going to tarnish what they've been able to accomplish as a group, as a team. And they're just looking forward for the shot to win an ACC title tonight. So my last shot goes to them.
If they win this game tonight, they'll be in the Orange Bowl. If they lose this game, you can make a strong argument for why they should be in the Orange Bowl. Most likely they'll go to Clemson. If you could rewrite that, if they lost this game, would you want them in the Orange Bowl?
I think a case can be made for them to be in the Orange Bowl. Although Clemson's got a lot of big wins this year, they definitely played a little bit of a tougher schedule. So I would very much understand if the Orange Bowl were to take Clemson over Duke. I would not expect that Duke would slip past the next ACC slot, which would be the Chick-fil-A Bowl in Atlanta.
Good stuff, my man. Thanks for joining us. Daniel Carp, who covers the Duke Blue Devils for the Duke Chronicle. Hopefully, if Duke does win this game and they make it to the Orange Bowl, we'll catch up with you down the road. All right, man?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.